Hello, unique soul, and welcome to Mystic Moon Tree. My name is Stephanie Simarusti. I am a crystal energy healer, herbalist, and path worker, and I'm recording this video today to give you guys a little bit of information about one of my packages called the Wellness Path, which is a program that I offer for spiritual and energetic healing. That is the heart of what I do and where I actually got started with my own personal healing on this holistic and spiritual path to encompassing healing your entire being instead of just physical health like the Western medicine field focuses on. My wellness path is something that I designed personally, utilizing a multitude of modalities of current practices in the metaphysical field to help support the heart, mind, body, soul, and spirit on its path to healing in a more holistic way. So I guess I should start with a little bit about me and what started my journey on this path to wellness, and then I'll lead into a little bit more about my program and who it's right for and why it might be something that you might want to add into your life to help you heal. Mostly, I have been on this healing journey. The word health is kind of a difficult word for me because I don't feel like I have actually been healthy like my entire life. I was actually born into this world in a very difficult way. I almost didn't make it into this world. I actually was an emergency C-section because I almost died when I was born. And my entire life, I've had problems with my immune system and just little illnesses and issues with my body because I'm only 4'9", and even though I don't fall into like a disabled category or a unique category with my health, I still have felt like I've had to struggle a little bit in my life to keep up with others on the health front, and that my body just doesn't allow me to do some of the things that your quote normal people would be able to do in a day. I've suffered a lot of my life with just little skin illnesses, little like if someone comes around me and gets sick, I will get that illness just very, very easily. Therefore, I've been bombarded by a lot of things in my life as far as just viruses and injuries and just weird things that your average person doesn't have to deal with their health. But I don't know, maybe there's a lot of you out there that probably are feeling the same way, that just you tend to run into things that just seems like it's constantly hammering on your health, or you have one issue that you just can't overcome. And that's kind of how I've felt my entire life. Every time I seem to feel like I get up to a very like high vibe, high energy space where my body seems to not hurt. It seems to like I don't have any colds right now. I don't have any injuries. Everything's cool. That only lasts about a week, and then something else will hammer me down and I end up back in bed, or I end up having to take a break from the sessions that I do, things like that. So I'm not able to work a normal job because of that. And so I really found myself here in the healing field, in the healing space, because of my own struggle with health and the word health and what that means to me and what that means to how I feel overall as an energetic being. And some of the things that I've just learned along the way that have really, really just changed my life and made me able to function in an average world when I'm not an average person, and bring a lot of positivity and joy and hope and just looking forward to the next day, as opposed to just being so depressed and so beat down and so just hopeless and like I've just hit a breaking point because I just can't get well. The start of my story really begins back I would say like in high school. I wanted very deeply to be a veterinary technician. I love animals, and you might actually hear or see my animals in some of these videos because they are my kids and they're a part of my life, so I don't like edit them out when I do my videos. But I just, from the beginning of existence, I knew that I wanted to work with animals. And so I did go and I got my veterinary technician degree. I have a background in health because of that, and I worked in the field for 11 years. And what a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of that understanding of the body, when you start doing research on your own, like online, with how much information is just out there in the intellectual space on the web, you do get a major understanding of how the body functions and how illness works, and just what you need to understand about anatomy and about how those processes work and how to heal people and how to heal animals. So I did work as a vet tech for 11 years in the field. And I found that I was running into a lot of health issues. A lot of the veterinary field wants you to be very high energy, on your feet all day long. It's very physically exhausting, lifting animals that are 65 to 85 pounds and restraining them for a person that's only 4'9". And I'm very strong for my height, but I wasn't able to keep that up with my body for some reason. Even though I was young, I was in my 20s and stuff, I just felt it on my body. And I've always had a problem with my circadian rhythms not syncing up with what a normal person, or what I consider a normal person, that my rhythms are different than that. I have always slept late. I have always woken up at a natural time that was sometime between 9:30 and 11:30 in the morning, and gone to bed sometime around 12 and 3 o'clock in the morning. And I noticed that when I was forcing myself to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, to go to college, or to go to this job that I got into right after college that I thought was my heart's dream being realized, to work with animals, that I just felt like depressed. I felt stressed. I felt miserable. I felt horrible. I was exhausted. I couldn't put my whole and entire being into helping these animals because I was just so exhausted. I was burning the candle at both ends, driving an hour to an hour and a half to my job. And there's a lot of bickering and just really negative energy and competition in the back offices of some of the vet clinics that are in a very old world, patriarchal type mindset that hasn't upgraded to some of those newer business practices. So I was really burning myself out, not as much physically, even though there was an aspect of that, but I was exposed to the diseases, not from the animals, because most animal diseases are not zoonotic, but a lot of human diseases, just because of the clients coming in there. And anytime a client came in that was sick, I would get hammered with an illness and still try to go to work. My immune system was getting broken down. And then spiritually, for some reason, just seeing all these animals in pain, a lot of the things that you have to experience and go through as a vet tech, they really talk about how there's a burnout at about 8 to 8.5 years with it, because of just, you care so much, you're so empathetic, and you're seeing these poor little creatures go through what they're going through, and you can't help all of them. And a lot of the politics and moral conflicts in that environment was getting to me, because I will restrain to euthanize an elderly animal, or an animal that is really suffering from a long-term illness or an acute condition, but I wouldn't euthanize an animal. And so standing up for my values, my spiritual beliefs in that field, I was constantly getting beat down for my spiritual beliefs. So unfortunately, I had to learn the hard way on the spiritual path, how to start listening to myself, that inner voice that I really wasn't giving any credence to, because I was just so stuck in that regular world mentality where you just have to push through it. Like there's just something wrong with you because you're not able to fit into this thing that you've done so many years of study for and expended so much money to get this degree, and you wanted to do this, all through high school and all through middle school. It's your calling. You're meant to do this, to have animals in your life and to help them. So why aren't you able to do this? Why aren't you just able to fix yourself and push through it and be able to be this vet tech that you always dreamed of being? I had a really hard blow to my heart, because I learned that even though I absolutely adore pets and I want to help them, that I was not meant to help them in that way, because me personally, I cannot fit into the space that's been designed for that work environment, and they weren't willing to work with me with what my scheduling needs were, or what my personal ethical and moral needs were, to actually be able to give my 100% in that environment. So the first thing that I learned on the spiritual journey, and this will tie into what the actual heart of what this video is that it was my first glimmer into listening to myself and realizing that healing myself sometimes has to come before healing others. And you do have to be a little bit selfish for that. But if you're not well and you're not acknowledging that you're not well and why you're not well, you can't just push through these things that are wrong for you. And so that first like aha moment, I call like just the spark that ultimately diverted me onto the path that I'm on now. So hopefully if you're watching that video, that spark has already entered your life. That little aha moment has already come to you, that something in your life that you're doing is not right, and you're not able to just push through it. You're not able to just ignore it any longer. It's gotten to a point where it's thrown off your aura, it's maybe affected your physical health, and you really need to do something different. So hopefully that's why you're here and why you're watching this video. And if there's anything in this video that doesn't feel right to you, then maybe you're not there yet. Maybe everything in your life is going well, and then I wish you well on your journey. But if you are having that feeling like you're desperately looking for another option, then please keep watching. So the next part of the story of what happened to me is that I had to figure out a way to still follow my heart, still follow my dreams, but not work in a clinic. So the next thing that I tried to do is I realized that maybe I needed to just completely let it go and do some work in an environment that was completely different. So I tried working at a Halloween store, which was a lot of fun, but it didn't make me any money, and they actually put me down for being overqualified to work in the Spirit Halloween store. It was a nice little diversion, and then I ended up actually taking over at my parents' national business to manage 4 Verizon stores for them, which was very engaging, and it brought me a lot of personal validation, and just made me feel good that I was able in a business environment to do something so ambitious as a manager of these 4 Verizon stores. We had one in Southern California, and 2 in Southern California, and 2 up in Northern California that I was managing for my parents for several years, about 4 years. And what I really didn't realize in that environment is, even though again I was fulfilling some of my needs, I still wasn't addressing my health, and I wasn't addressing my spiritual needs and my ethics and stuff. I think a lot of my ethics were kind of resolved because since I was in a family setting and I was able to hire and bring in a wonderful crew at the Verizon stores, I was able to have a little bit more personal environment and design something that really fit my personality. But I was also being nagged at and pushed at by that corporate environment, that Verizon environment, and trying to function in that kind of corrupted sales space that it really got to my spirit and my soul. And then again, my health started to suffer for it. So I got to a point where I was having anxiety attacks, stress attacks that were causing me to literally throw up and have stomach problems. And I was literally just having so much mental anguish over trying to balance everything and show up for work and show up for that space. Even though I had a wonderful work crew, it just became too much for me because I did not agree with the practices of the corporate world. So again, I found myself struggling with this spiritual evolution, these health needs, and what I thought I had to push myself forward through just to make money and to make a living for myself, because I was making a good chunk of change managing these 4 stores. So I made a very big personal decision one day and said, you're going to continue to spiral downhill with your health if you continue on this path. And there's something wrong. If you're having a massive, pain in your chest, hyperventilating, your face is getting red, anxiety attack, stress attack, just thinking about getting in the car and going to do your day, not because you can't handle the physical aspects of the job, but because there's something spiritual and something emotionally that's getting to you, and that your health is just so bad, you're so exhausted, and you're ignoring that fact every single day. That if I don't acknowledge that about myself, if I don't acknowledge that there's something wrong here, then I'm going to break. Something is going to break massively. So I literally called up and I said, I'm sorry, I'm putting in my 2 weeks notice, and I will do everything in my power to hire another manager for these 4 stores, like a lead manager for these stores, and I will pass everything over as nice and neat a little package as I can, but I just can't do it anymore. I'm not going to be able to do this job for you guys anymore. So at that point in my life, I was really suffering from a lot of health problems from unknown sources. Like, I just was run down, no energy. So my next step in my path, so that you guys have a little bit more background about me, is that I decided that I really did want to work with animals, but on my own terms. And how did that look? I was on unemployment. How was I ever going to work with animals and not work in a setting where somebody else had all the power, like somebody else was a boss over me? I decided what I really needed was to take back a little bit of my personal power. And so what I ended up doing is I started Ascension Kennels and Pet Spa, and I started Critter Sitting, which was a mobile pet sitting business, where I also did traveling tech work that was allowed within my license. And I opened the Ascension Kennels and Pet Spa, which is a grooming and boarding kennel for pets, especially injured pets that were recovering, and special needs animals like elderly animals and baby animals that were having trouble coming into the world, and they needed like a little bit of extra care. During the course of that venture, I was just so happy. We lived at a house in the middle of the woods on top of a hill, surrounded by oak trees, overlooking a lake, and I thought that I had reached my heaven, my zen, my summer fields. I was just so happy there. But what ended up still happening, even though I started to be choosing a new path and started to direct myself onto a new path, I was still not really paying attention to my health. I was paying attention to my emotional needs, and that this brought a lot of love and happiness and contentment and excitement into my day to do these things. I was still overbooking clients for my critter sitting. I was also really pushing my body to not have anyone working below me, and to groom these pets, and to do the supportive tech care. And so it was a lot of physical restraint and manipulation of my body, and I was very physically active, but in ways that were actually breaking down my body, and I didn't even know it. I was also still coming in contact with a lot of disease, which got me sick, which ran down my immune system, and got me exposed to some really crazy exotic illnesses that some people have never experienced. And so when I had really run my body down into the ground, ignoring my health, the other thing that was happening, I was eating a lot of junk food because I was barreling through the day. We were still eating fast food. Me and my husband now had no concept of what chemicals and additives are in food that you shouldn't be eating. We were just eating what tasted good. We didn't have a balanced diet. And even though I thought I was making semi-healthy decisions for us, when I look back at it now, I basically just toxified my body on top of everything with the type of food that I was eating. So even though I felt like I should be in a healthy space because I was making these smart decisions spiritually and emotionally and even mentally, I was still not making the right physical decisions. So what ended up happening is that I really injured my back and came down with two illnesses that wouldn't be diagnosed until about 4 years later. And what ended up happening is I did permanent damage to my lower back and my nerves and my muscles and in between my spinal column there, and by leaning over and grooming and just twisting and everything like that. Which is weird because it wasn't an impact injury. It wasn't something major that happened that was like catastrophic, like a car crash or like I fell off of something. It was just like a long-term chronic, like I was injuring myself and just pushing past the pain, having that kind of 20-something mentality that we're, immortal and nothing can go wrong and we can just heal from anything. So I also came down with a disease that started causing massive issues in my intestinal tract and skin problems. And I didn't know what that was, but it progressively got worse and worse and worse because the Western medicine field couldn't diagnose it, said there was nothing wrong with me, and just basically ignored it and just didn't believe me or believe what I was going through throughout that process. It also caused some massive imbalances in my female hormones, which I also still struggle with. So long story short, I ended up hurting my heart again because due to some other issues with the county and everything, I ended up having to close down Ascension Kennels and Critter Sitting for my health. I again ended up in kind of this period of my life when I was just lost. I just didn't understand why everything was falling apart. I thought I was following my heart. I thought I was following my dream and doing what I was meant to do with my life. But that's really when I found holistic medicine. That's really when I found crystal energy healing, aromatherapy, learning about nutrition and herbs and how diet really affects your overall health, how the aura actually surrounds our body. I've always been a magic practitioner and I've always known about these concepts, but I never really implemented them into my day-to-day like well-being. So I really started on this journey at a low point when I was diagnosed with candida, and we actually proved that I had a thrush infection that had gone throughout my intestinal tract, my mouth, gotten into my bloodstream, and actually into my joints and into my lower back where I have an injury. It was causing problems on my skin as well, or I had a secondary infection because of that. I also have experienced other things like mono in my life, which actually lowers my immune system too. So I'm going off on a tangent here, which I do in all of my videos, but hopefully you're still with me at this point. And basically all I'm trying to say is that it was another gateway that I had to push through, another awakening moment, another moment where I was just literally starting to tune into my higher self and into that spiritual auric sensation that I was just purposely putting a wall up until that point, not giving it credence, not making my auric and spiritual healing as important as my physical health, my mental health, and my emotional health. But all these little baby steps added up to where I am today. So I started to really research not just physical healing, but alternative forms of health because the Western medicine field was not able to help me on my healing journey. And I can't say that anything that I do at Mystic Moon Tree will physically heal you. Legally, I have to say disclaimers that you need to also see a Western medical doctor. And I am a proponent of using Western medicine in addition to holistic medicine so that they can actually support each other and balance each other out in your healing process. What I'm basically getting at is that this whole personal journey that I went through is basically my history and where I came from the springboard that got me really knocked into the groove that I really needed to be in, which I was always playing around with over here, but I hadn't really dove into wholeheartedly and full spiritual commitment with. And that's where I started and how I found myself here today, which is no, that I had learned all of these different techniques and implemented them in my own life. I have completely corrected almost 100, like basically 110% of what I was experiencing back then today. And even though I still am hit with new health issues and I do experience, new spiritual conundrums just like everyone does, because we're always growing and we're always learning on the spiritual path, I was still able to learn enough to take my healing into my own hands and implement some powerful modalities of health and well-being in the holistic field. And when I mixed them together in a specific way, it just seemed like it was like the perfect combination to bring myself back into harmony, back into balance, to clear out all those old blockages, those old traumas and wounds, to address the physical health and support, fight for myself with the doctors so that they actually took me seriously, and then also support my healing in ways that they weren't able to on the natural side of things. So that as I was needing to take some like Western medicine drugs, they didn't hammer down my body to a level that was imbalanced, so that I could keep it at a balanced level with the diet and the herbs and the teas and aromatherapy and things that I was using. So bottom line, after all that story, what I'm coming back to is that it worked for me. These modalities, mixing them in a specific way to create a plan of holistic and natural health formats, really is almost like a magic and amazing solution, that can help not just me, but like anybody. Anybody in this world can use this combination of practices and exercises and spiritual meditations and herbs and teas and crystals and aromatherapy in a synergistic way that I've designed to start your own journey, so that you don't have to do this, 11-year long learning process. I'm hoping that by offering my wellness path to people and what I'm going to describe here in a moment, that I can save you the trouble of having to stumble along like a toddler, that instead I can be a guide if you have been struggling with things that you can't really work out on your own, or that your Western medical doctors haven't been able to help you with, that you've just felt blocked and stuck, that we can look at a main concern that you've been dealing with and several secondary concerns, and hopefully use the wellness path to get you very quickly on a completely new and right path for you to really start your healing process. So to go a little further past my story, what we need to talk about is the aura and physical health. So you can actually tune into some of my other videos where we get deeper into these concepts. But basically, what the wellness path is addressing is the fact that we have an aura or energetic body around our physical body that is made up of different particles. Some of them are ether that we can't necessarily measure in science at this date, but that quantum physics and other modalities of science are moving towards explaining why these things work. I don't necessarily need to know why they work. I just need to know that they work and that I can use them to help you on your path. So in respect to the wellness path uses different new age and folk and traditional practices that are more natural to address auric imbalances, blockages, traumas, and other energy states in your aura, your chakras, and your energy field, to help bring that back into balance and back into alignment. I also do path working to help, which is kind of like life coaching. It's a little bit different, but it's like if you were to hire a life coach to help you kind of figure out where you are in life and where you might like to be, like some options for you. And then what the wellness path does is it takes all of that into account. It takes your whole being into account, and then we move forward in a direction that is most likely going to completely blow your world apart so that we can change your life and start you on something completely new and exciting. So, how this helped me on my path is that I continue to use all of these practices today, and it is a continuing, ever changing, ever evolving process that I'm always adding things to. But the wellness path is at the heart of it. I always come back to it because if you ever get imbalanced in your life, this is a very powerful way to do self-healing, self-care, and self-love, to learn these practices and to also work in conjunction with me or another crystal energy healer, to keep you on the path that you're choosing, that is right for you, and to just help heal you. So, how this can help you personally is that I am a personal proponent of education, self-care, and personal responsibility. So where a lot of people reach out to like a life coach, or they reach out to a Reiki practitioner, to just kind of fix everything for them. Sometimes you go into the masseuse because they're going to fix your aches and pains for you. You come in, you just relax, you just lay down, and you basically don't do anything. You just let it all go, and they work your energy, or they work your body muscles, or they just give you a plan to follow, and you just follow that plan. The great things about that is that you can just let go. You can just release, and it does allow somebody to hold you and support you. And there are aspects of what I do that does provide a container and does provide a lot of support for you to do that healing within. But the difference with that is that as soon as you go back to your regular world, even though you've released, you haven't learned the tools to change or to fix the life that you're going back to. So again, kind of like where the Western medicine field addresses symptoms, it doesn't address the cause of the problem. A lot of times massage and Reiki and life coaching doesn't necessarily always address the cause or the heart of the problem. So we do holistic healing here, where we are also asking you to take some personal responsibility for the issues in your life and to actually make a plan to change those things, to actually be responsible to implement some things and understand why you're implementing those things into your life, to make massive change in your life. Now, change can be hard. Change can be like pushing through a membrane or a barrier. It can cause some upheaval in life when it's happening, because sometimes you have to destroy things, or you have to break things apart, or you have to cause a little chaos and upheaval for growth to happen, for change to happen. And so you have to not be afraid to take this step, and you have to not be lazy and not want to commit to this path, and also actually love education and love educating yourself and learning about these things and being excited to learn something new. So if you're not that kind of person that tends to work like that, and you just want someone to save you basically and to hold your hand completely, and you don't want to take any responsibility for your own health and your own well-being and the changes that you make in your life, or you're not ready to make massive change in your life, then this probably isn't the program for you, and that's okay. So who these sessions are right for is people that feel in alignment with what I'm saying, people that really, really resonate with how I talk about this, the words that I use, that your vibration and your whole being just feels called to keep watching this video, that you feel very, very much like a yes in the bottom of your being. And in even especially when you actually go to look at the package, and if it's something that you're really interested in, that you're not made to feel like worried or squishy or just like really apprehensive about like the price or the cost, because basically this is an investment in your health. This is a long-term thing. This isn't a quick fix. It isn't an easy button. What this does, it does require commitment. It does require you to change and become a new person, to be this vibrant new you that we're going to mold and create. So basically, if you're interested in the wellness path, after I finish talking about it here, this is an investment. It's an investment in you, and an investment in your health, and an investment in your future. And you have to understand what that means, and you have to have kind of a little bit more of a new world view of money and finances, and to not be afraid of that investment, because I have a very reasonable price point for this, but there are people out there that may not have hit this like level of income in your life, and that's okay. It's just something that when it's right for you, and when you are there in your life and you're ready for it, put me on a bookmark somewhere. When it's ready to happen, it will happen. So I just want you guys to know that I try to make my sessions as available as possible to a wide range of people. And if you're not able to do the full wellness path right now, I may have other options that are more financially available for you right now. But money is just energy. And if you just look at it like that, and you look at it like it's gonna be there when you need it to be healthy and to be well, and this feels like something you're called to do, the money's gonna be there, and it's not a big deal. So having said that, I don't offer discounts for low-income people on this, because I feel like it's something that if you're meant to do this, then it'll be there and you'll make it happen. And that's part of this journey on your wellness path to becoming a new person, where money doesn't matter. It's just energy in your life that is making things happen that you need to manifest for your survival and for your health and for your happiness. So the wellness path is actually $100 per session, and if you are interested in the package, the full package is $700. There is a wellness path kit that I want to show you guys before I talk about the individual sessions. So what that comes with, you can private message me if you want a higher end crystal, like an actual raw crystal that is larger and has like more power inside of it to work with. But for just getting started out, what I have is the wellness path kit, which comes with, okay, let me see if I can hold these up at my camera. Comes with 5 stones, which I'm going to hold up, and there are 3 different stones for each color that we use within the sessions inside of this package, and they all have a different resonance for that color and for the energy that we work with. But there are 3 separate stones that may actually come. So if that try to make that make sense for you guys. So for example, we have a white stone for one of the energies that we work with, which is usually a clear or white quartz that comes, but you may also receive one of 2 other stones that are in the same resonance for those specific sessions. So don't be worried if a different stone comes. It just means that intuitively that's what felt right from my heart for your specific needs. So all of these stones are cleansed and smudged, attuned, blessed, and pre-charged before you get them by me personally. So I smudge them with sacred herbs. They don't have anyone's ook on them from the crystal market, and I handpick all my stones, so even though they might have inclusions in them, they shouldn't come to you cracked or damaged, and they all have just really beautiful personal energy inside of them. We use these crystals inside the sessions, and that's why I'm talking about them first, so that you know that they're very important to have. So especially if you're taking online sessions, or if this video becomes this package becomes part of a video series that you've bought and you're logging into, that you know that you need these crystals to work with from home if you're not coming in personally for sessions, to use my sessions here in the store. So the second session, or the second crystal that will probably come, is a black stone. For the quartz, you might also get a selenite or a white jade. So for the black stone, you will probably get a black tourmaline, potentially an onyx or a jet as well, just depending on what stones are available for that season too. So for your green stone, and that the white stone is for white light, white rainbow light, crystal healing, and the black stone is for black rainbow light and protection and absorption. So the green stone that you will receive may be jade, it may be moss agate or ocean jasper. Very rarely, but sometimes I might send a chrysocolla if it really feels in alignment with my clients. So I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent here about the crystals, and it'll all make sense in a minute. So this is a brown agated jasper. This particular one is a tortilla agate, but that is the normal stone that comes for your brown stone for grounding, centering, and balancing, and for healing and meditation. And this stone could also be a petrified wood or a fossil of some sort. They all have the same energies to work with for the specific sessions that I'm going to talk about. Your kit will also come with my camera will focus, with a rose quartz, and this is for working with your heart energy and any kind of heavy stress and anxiety emotions, as is your purple stone, which is usually amethyst, merlinite. Periodically I might have a lepidolite or a fluorite in there. Very rarely though, usually it's an amethyst that you'll be receiving. So the kit again is very important to work with me at a distance, because I don't have a way to magically beam this through the computer at you. So you want to make sure that you have these supplies handy. In and above, the kit is in and above the session price. So $700 for the full investment of the session package of the full wellness kit, and $100 per session if you want to take them individually, and $50 for the kit. Now, in addition to that, depending on what your personal needs are that are illuminated during the sessions, what your main focus that you want to resolve during this session, there will be take homes and add-ons that I recommend, like teas or other aromatherapy products, herbal remedies. So you do want to prepare for that, but I don't have a way to quote you that starting out. So this is just the base wellness path investment that you want to plan for, and you want to plan in addition to that. Most of my teas are $18 per tea. A lot of my aromatherapy is somewhere between $10 and $18. My herbal remedies are somewhere from $3 to $30, just depending on if it's a tincture or what it is like that. So usually there are multiple things that you're investing in, and we usually take these sessions either weekly or monthly. We can spread them out longer than monthly sessions, but once you get on this path, I really want you to continue on it regularly, so that we're constantly moving forward in the healing process. So the other two items that come in the crystal or in the Wellness Path kit are my triple moon synergies, 2 of them, that you can find on my website, which I will have posted in the link. And I'll see if I can get my camera to, oh, it's probably going to be backwards on here, but it's basically called Meditate. It's a rollerball synergy that you basically just shake, and then you're going to rollerball onto the areas that we're working at or onto your pulse points. You're going to warm your hand up. You're going to cup your hand, and you're going to inhale a couple times to take in that aromatherapy for the session that we're working on. So I'll go over this if you're taking video sessions in specific videos on that video learning path for the wellness path. But if you're taking in-person sessions or online sessions with me, if you're not located in or around Georgetown where I'm at, and you're somewhere else out in the big wide world, then you definitely want a kit to be able to do these sessions with me. And all of that can be purchased on my online store, which is http :// and then mystic-moon-tree.com. And I will have that in the links in the description. You can like and subscribe and hit the bell on YouTube if you see this, or you can like and follow me on my Facebook page. You can also just private message me if you have any questions in addition to what I'm talking about on here. So this video is at about 43 minutes, so I want to keep barreling forward with the information on it so we don't get too long here. Basically, what the sessions are and what the Wellness Path package is it's a custom set of New Age and folk remedy and naturopathic solutions to health that I have molded into a custom package that you won't find anywhere else. This is my personal program and my personally designed suggestions for how to balance your overall auric field. This does not resolve major like deeply embedded blockages, crisis states with your aura, and really fine-tuned healing that comes in later sessions, that if the Wellness Path doesn't resolve it, you may need to go further with me into more in-depth sessions. But this is where I usually recommend my customers start. And because there are exercises and concepts inside of this that everybody can benefit from, that any person needs to know to begin on this path to start getting their aura into alignment. So what the sessions are, they're basically 7 sessions, and let's talk about what those sessions are. Okay. So I'm sorry, I'm reading a paper to keep me on track here. So there are 7 sessions in the Wellness Path packet, so 7 separate sessions, and you want to be able to do the homework that I send home, like actually resolve some of the issues at home prior to coming in for the next session. I don't have a problem with how long it takes you to go through this Wellness Path session. Everything is not on a time limit. Your healing is going to happen in the order that it is meant to happen. So we're not going to push that healing. We're just going to support that healing with however long it takes to get you where you need to be on this path. So the first thing that we do is we sit down and basically fill out a questionnaire, so session number 1 is the evaluation and consultation session, where we sit down and we have a very in-depth, and it can be exhausting. It can be very intense and overwhelming to some people, and some people it's just like a release, because I just sit there and I hold space for you. I am the container and the support, and we just talk it out. Like, I ask questions that most people in your life will not get into with you. So I hope that you're ready to go deep and to really open up and really shine some light on some of the things that you may not be sharing with other people in your life and the world around you. But getting into these deep and dark topics is kind of going to bring up where some of these energy imbalances are resonating from, so that I can start to figure out a really customized plan of how to address your individualized needs. So what I will do is I will sit down with you one-on-one. We'll get into the very baby basics of your first white light meditation and negativity release. And so we'll do a little tiny bit of crystal healing, have a little bit of tea, and then we're going to sit down and just talk. We could be there from an hour to 3 hours. It's very in depth, so you want to put aside enough time to get through the whole session, or we can break it up into 2 sessions. But it's my evaluation and consultation session, and what happens is that after we illuminate everything that you're going through in your whole being, your mind, body, heart, soul, and spirit, and also doing a little bit of individualized focus on your chakras and what might be unbalancing them individually, then I sit down and I type up a very in-depth consultation form that I email to you, which just illuminates where I think you're at. Like, just is a rundown of everything that we talked about and where I think that you need to be, my personal suggestions. And then we adjust that based on what feels right to you. So then once we've gone through that session number one and we've established like what the plan is, where we want to move forward and how we want to move forward, kind of inside of this framework of the wellness path, then we're like an arrow shot with some focus on how we think we can very powerfully make some changes over the next 6 sessions after that point. Now, I may throw in something like a crisis session. Your energy field may be so imbalanced that we need to add an additional crisis session in there. And those sessions can be an herbal healing session, broken heart session, escaping the pit of depression, a triggers and trauma session, or a path working session, because we need to talk a little further before we can actually sort through everything that's going on and what the main heart of the problem really is. So an evaluation session may put the wellness path on a back burner for us to do a crisis session, and you would need to order those and any kits or add-ons and take home separately on my website if that's something that I recommend in and above the wellness path session. Then we move on to what's called a session number 2, journaling, core, listening to the whole, and path working. So what we do in that session is we really get into some really fundamental energy exercises and meditations. We learn about journaling, how to journal, why to journal, that sometimes the journaling that other people teach is very different from the journaling that I teach. We talk about contemplation and meditation. We start using the crystals out of your crystal kit, and we just learn some really, really fundamental exercises that you can use at home to make some powerful and explosive changes in your life immediately. So that's what session number 2 is it's just getting started on the basics and things that we will use throughout the rest of your energy healing. And why I do that is because if you have more of an understanding of yourself and your auric field and how it works and how to work with these basic concepts, it makes it much easier on me to beam energy at you and to do some energetic healing later on down the road when we get into full force healing where I'm involved and my energy field is coming at your energy field. You won't be so resistant to that healing if you're already aware of how that process works, how it feels, and you'll be more open and ready to accept that healing from me. So session number 3, we get into really powerful relaxation concepts. We use meditations with purple light. We do a sand tray. We do a full body relaxation and really delve into concepts of how to release stress and anxiety. So number 3 is the one session that, other than Reiki, that I most liken to going to a masseuse, where you basically are very open and relaxed. And that's where we just take everything away. It's like going to the masseuse and just letting it all go, letting it all fade away, and you have that very peaceful moment, that pocket of Zen. So session number 3 is your relaxation session. Session number 4 is grounding, centering, and balancing, the GCNB. We get into those concepts very powerfully, and because I come from a magical background, even though I'm very supportive of other faiths and other belief systems, that can actually be used for some of you that are interested in the magic side of my business and becoming apprentices and going down that path. So grounding, centering, and balancing are very important concepts with magic work and just with your energy field in general for connecting to Mother Earth, connecting to nature, and how you may not be getting the connections in the right way from the right places out in the world. And so reestablishing those connections and healing those connections to the outside world that you may have put up shields against, and how we break those shields down, create filters to bring things in properly again. So session number 4 is grounding, centering, and balancing. Session number 5 is shielding, breath, and aura work with colors and crystals. So this session is really fun because we get into the importance of breath, breathing techniques. Again, we're doing more meditations and exercises that you can take home. We work with your crystals from your crystal kit. We learn about the outer aura, how to shield, potentially how to anchor, and how to begin acknowledging your chakras and awakening your chakras. So we just do a very little like beginners like touch on chakras in the session number 5. And if you'd like to, you are able to add a Salute the Sun yoga is optional. You do want to realize that that'll add more time to our session, but we can also add a yogic practice after we do the energy work with the breath work, because it flows very synergistically into a yoga practice after this session. So if you'd like to add that, it's called Salute the Sun Yoga, and that will be in addition to session number 5. So session number 6 is called Crystal Energy Healing, Sensing, and Dowsing. This is your main healing energy session. So again, you come in and hopefully at this point we've illuminated we've probably done a lot of healing towards your main concern and the main issues that you came to me with. But what we're going to do is we're going to get to the heart of the energetic blockages and wounds, and we're going to actually beam some crystal light and some of my personal energy at them. We're going to use aromatherapy, some sound and color healing, some other resonance techniques, and we're really going to try to break apart those blockages so that you can have a powerful energetic and spiritual healing. So that is basically crystal energy healing, which you can repeat with me after that point if you ever need a pick-me-up or maintenance, or you have something else that feels blocked. But the reason that this is session number 6 is that I find that it is so much more powerful for me to come at someone that I have built a friendship with, where we have a connection and a trust built between the two of us before I just start bombarding your aura with my energy and with the crystal energy. You'll have a much more receptive and gentle healing from putting this process a little bit later down the road. So session number 7 is called Deep Energy Work and Resolutions. What we do in this session is anything that was not resolved in the crystal energy healing. It's just that last little final, like, shove the rest of that negative out the door. We might have like a little bit of customized chakra healing in that session. It's really customized to the individual. So I can't really say what deep energy work we're doing there, but the whole point and concept of that last session is to do some really in-depth talking about like how you've come in your process. Do you really feel like we've resolved the main issue? And if not, what can we do at this final moment to really heal it completely and thoroughly? Now, the wellness path should be able to resolve most main concerns, or at least get you on the right path to them healing. Some cycles, when something's been chronic for like your entire life, it may be more than 7 sessions can heal, if I'm being honest, because you've been going through this for years and years and years, and you've only seen me for 7 sessions. So again, coming back to the commitment with taking these sessions, that we need to commit to actually resolving these sessions. And if you're feeling good, if you're feeling great, sometimes it's hard to continue with sessions because you feel like, oh, I'm feeling amazing, but there's still little things under the surface that will bubble up. So I'm hoping that once you're on this path that you'll stay committed to it. There's also a situation that I do recognize happening, that I believe in thought forms. I believe in negative spiritual entities and things that have consciousness that can sometimes attach to our auras and affect us on a spiritual level. And if any of you happen to have acquired one of those, which is not something to be afraid of, many of us have these things. They're like little leeches on our aura. If you have a conscious thought form or spiritual entity attachment of some sort, sometimes they can influence our emotions and our thoughts, and they tend to cause things in our life to happen when we start our healing process that makes us feel weird about coming in for sessions, or that can cause it to be difficult to continue coming for sessions. So if you are experiencing that and you're not understanding why you feel like that, it may be this negative entity trying to keep you from continuing healing so that it knocks it off of you. So I hope that doesn't come off as too crazy to some of you, but it is stuff that I have regularly encountered in my spiritual practice here. So I need to acknowledge it and authenticate it for people that are experiencing it, that these things will try to keep you from healing and knocking them away and getting them away from you. So hopefully we can talk about techniques to push through that and still come for your healing session, even though it can be really uncomfortable, and this thing will fight very hard to not be removed off of your aura. So those are the two situations that I run into with people not continuing with the full session. So just hoping that you guys understand that it is really important to be committed to doing at least the full wellness path, even if you don't continue past that point with me because you feel at a good place once you've completed session number 7. Please just commit to yourself and commit to wholly and completely healing yourself if you're going to buy the full 7-session package. So once we finish with these sessions, there are chances that you will have something deeply embedded inside of a chakra that we locate, or that you may have something happen past the wellness path session that you still need help with. So what happens when we complete the wellness path session? Well, normally if people are just 110% like in love with this, it's really helped them, they're completely on board and they want to continue their growth and their learning and their healing on this path, then I have these amazing sessions called the Branched Path sessions, Crystal Aroma sessions, the 5 Elements Simple sessions. I have many group sessions to help involve your family in this healing process, although you don't want to push them down this path when they're not quite ready for it. I really appreciate referrals, but sometimes when I get referrals from people that are just in love with my packages, that person that you refer is just not quite there on their journey yet. So that's okay if they're not ready for it yet. It's always good to recommend it to somebody, but they need to be like wholeheartedly ready to change in their life, or else they'll really be struggling and pushing for this healing process to happen when they're not in a place in their life to make it seamless and to flow well. So the other sessions that I do offer are cycles and passages sessions, and really high level other programs like the Luna Retreat and the Sacred Spirit Retreat, which are things you can pursue for hormonal healing, womb healing, feminine strength and empowerment, masculine empowerment and embodying the sacred masculine, and even I also have apprenticeships to learn some of this stuff in addition to the wellness path. So hopefully you can check out my website, which is www.mysticmoontree.com, and my shop, which will both be in the links in below the video and in the description. And the wellness path is just something that I want to put out there to the whole world, because there are so many of us that don't acknowledge our aura, don't acknowledge our spiritual health, and even just don't acknowledge the imbalances and the wounds that we are just trying to function with this broken machine. And we've got gears spinning out of the engine. We've got somebody, beamed negative look at us from work, and it's clinging to our chest, and we're still trying to love on our husband or our pets or our children at home, and we've got this stuff clinging to our aura that just feels nasty. And because we don't have the tools, because you don't have the tools yet to learn how to get it off of you, it's just wounding you and dragging all of your energy down. I want to help you come to a high vibration, a beautiful resonance where you can just be the most that you are meant to be as this infinite being in this existence that we're in. So I want to help make you whole, help make you well, help make you happy, and excited to live this life that you're living. So if you are not there right now and you've been struggling, then this is 100% for you, the wellness path. So if you're still at the end of the video, I'm assuming that this is a yes for you. And even if you financially aren't there yet, don't stress about it. Don't put yourself in a state of lack. You will be. You will make this possible. You will manifest this into your life if it's right for you. So I love you all. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. And just if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Send me a private message. I don't bite. I'm very excited to just talk to anybody and answer any questions that you have. So again, my business is called Mystic Moontree. My name is Stephanie Cimarusti, and I am a crystal energy healer, and this video was about my wellness path package, and hopefully you will invest in yourself and consider signing up for it. Have a beautiful day.